The dress wasn't wrong, exactly. It just wasn't expensive enough to be invisible in the way expensive things are invisible in rooms like this one. Nadia had known that before she arrived. She'd pressed it anyway, taken the train instead of asking Marcus to pick her up, and arrived 7 minutes early, because that was the kind of person she was. The kind no one thought to describe when they described her. The restaurant had a name she recognized from a magazine she'd read in a waiting room once. The kind of place where the menus had no prices, and the silence between courses felt curated. Marcus was already there with Priya, who was lovely in the uncomplicated way of someone who had never been asked to be anything else. Their father was telling a story. Their mother was laughing before the punchline. Nadia slid into the chair that had been left. Not saved, left at the corner of the table. She ordered water. She listened. She did what she had always done in rooms that weren't quite configured for her. Richard Cho arrived late, which meant everyone stood. He had the unhurried quality of a man who had been the most important person in most rooms for long enough that he'd stopped registering it consciously. His wife, elegant and quiet, took the seat beside Priya. Richard sat at the head, naturally, without discussion. Marcus made introductions with the ease of someone narrating his own highlight reel. When he got to Nadia, he smiled. The smile she had known her entire life, the one that meant he was performing for an audience. And this is my sister. A half-beat pause. The family parasite. Her father chuckled. Her mother touched her wine glass and looked briefly at the table before looking up with a smile that had arrived too late to be genuine. Nadia didn't move. She had learned, somewhere in her 30s, that stillness was not the same as absence, even when people treated it that way. She waited for Richard Cho to laugh. He didn't. He was looking at her, not with sympathy, not with the polite discomfort of a guest witnessing something he shouldn't, but with the focused stillness of someone rearranging information. She noticed it. She didn't show that she noticed it. The dinner continued. Marcus talked about the wedding timeline. Priya talked about venues. Their mother asked questions that were really compliments in disguise. Their father laughed at things that weren't quite jokes. Nadia ate her food. She answered what was directed at her. She asked Priya one genuine question about what she wanted. Not the wedding, Priya herself. And something shifted briefly in the younger woman's eyes, a flicker of being actually seen, before the conversation moved on. It was during the second course that Richard Cho said, quietly to no one in particular, Nadia Ose. Not a question. A recalibration. She looked up. Compliance director, he said. Meridian Health Staffing. The table didn't fully register it. Marcus was mid-sentence. Their mother was nodding at something their father had said. Yes, Nadia said. Richard set down his fork with the care of someone who had just understood something that changed the shape of an evening. Would you mind, he said, if we spoke for a moment? They stood near the window that overlooked the street below. The city moved quietly through the glass. Richard Cho was not a man who preambled. The licensing review, he said. 18 months ago, before we closed the acquisition. That was you. I flagged the irregularities, yes. You flagged 14 of them. Our legal team found 2. He paused. The acquisition would have cost us significantly. Not failed, cost us. There's a difference, but not a small one. Nadia nodded once. She had written the report at her kitchen table on a Saturday, with coffee going cold beside her, the way she wrote most things that mattered. I didn't know it was your company, she said. I knew the acquiring firm was a holding group. I didn't track the parent entity. I know, he said. That's what made it credible. There was a moment between them that wasn't warm, exactly, but was honest. The particular honesty of two people who recognize in each other a certain fluency in being underestimated. I'd like to have a proper conversation, Richard said. Not tonight, but soon. All right. He looked back toward the table briefly. Marcus was laughing again. Their mother had her hand on Priya's arm. Richard didn't comment on what he had witnessed. He didn't need to. The recalibration had already happened internally, and men like Richard Cho didn't annotate their conclusions out loud. Nadia, he said, as they turned back. A single word that was also, somehow, a correction of record. She didn't say anything to Marcus before she left. There was nothing to say that wouldn't sound like the thing she didn't want to be. He had noticed, though. She could see it. The slight reconfiguration of his expression, when Richard had shaken her hand at the end of the evening, not the social handshake of a host, but the deliberate handshake of a professional concluding a meeting. Marcus had watched it happen, and not had language for what he was seeing, which meant he would spend some time looking for the language, and the looking would teach him something, whether he wanted it to or not. Their mother had kissed her cheek at the door. You look tired tonight, her mother said. Nadia smiled. I'm fine. The train home was mostly empty. She sat with her coat in her lap and watched the city thin out into the quieter, older neighborhood she had always lived in. The ones that required a certain fluency with not having enough and making it work anyway. Her phone lit up on the seat beside her. A message from her mother. Call me tomorrow. You seemed off, a message from an unknown number. Professional signature appended. Richard Cho. Thursday at 2, if you're available. My assistant will send the details. Nadia looked at them both for a moment. Then she put the phone face down and watched the dark windows of the train reflect someone who looked, for once, exactly like herself. She didn't feel triumphant. She felt tired and clear and quietly certain, the way you feel after carrying something heavy for a long time and finally setting it down in a room where someone noticed the weight. She didn't open either message. Not yet. The train moved. The city passed. She let it.